It's 2026 and women are still the minority in many international courts. Data shows that the EU General Court currently houses 35% women judges, while the EU Court of Justice has only 21%. Similar numbers can be seen in the European Court of Human Rights. Ivana Jelic, an ECHR judge, explained the numbers.
We are now 16 women, which is 36%. But this does not reflect every judicial formation. So, for example, in the grand chambers, sometimes we have only 2 women.
Women judges continue to occupy a low number of seats in international European courts. This is mainly caused by insufficient institutional support for women to manage family and professional life.
First of all, not many women apply because of family obligations. And then usually, and this is actually the situation also in my court, the court and the system, the court does not, and the Council of Europe does not give full guarantees to family life, meaning that if a female judge is elected, then her family does not have any privileges.
According to women's rights and gender equality experts, there is a lack of representation of women in international courts, often caused by long-standing systematic barriers.
So neither the Court of Justice of the EU or the General Court has ever had a women president before. And then when it comes to the European Court of Human Rights, only one woman in its history. So this begs the question of where are the structural inequalities and why are they still a barrier to entry? Looking deeper into the evaluation criteria, there's a huge emphasis placed on having academic work and scholarly research behind you, which, as you can imagine, that takes undivided dedication and time which women don't have on their side when you look at other structural inequalities in as far as how women and men use their time differently. And we find that when it comes to family life and caring responsibilities, women are twice as likely than men to provide over 35 hours of childcare a week. So if you think about that, that's the equivalent of a second full-time job. So where do you have time left over for yourself, let alone doing deep academic work? So I think it's about broadening the criteria on what we see as merit and excellence and standards.
So what do you think are the main reasons that women are still the minority in international courts, and what kind of barriers stop this number from changing?
Well, we'd have to really look at the deepest of structural inequalities, which is gender stereotypes, gender biases. You know, gender stereotypes, they write a script for us in the background without us even realizing. So when we think about who is expected to lead, who is expected to care, who is expected to be a judge of the highest judicial decision making, we're still very much shaped by the norms that stereotypes perpetuate. So we have to get rid of those biases, which are actually embedded in our societies and therefore embedded in recruitment processes.
It is important, however, to underline the value that women judges bring to international courts and how the justice system is dependent on the representation of women.
I think women's representation in judiciary matters a lot because courts must reflect the societies they serve. When women are present in judicial institutions at all levels, it strengthens both legitimacy of courts and public trust in the rule of law. Justice must not only be impartial, but it must also be visibly representative.
Experts agree that courts should reflect the societal gender makeup to achieve efficiency and minimize bias.
Courts rely on public confidence to function effectively, which means that people need to trust that justice is being delivered fairly and impartially, which means having equal representation. But when you look at the underrepresentation of women in the highest judicial roles, it begs the question, well, which societies are you reflecting here? And therefore, which societies are you serving? So it creates this lack of trust. But what we see when we have more gender balance and indeed achieving gender equality in judicial decision making, it fosters greater legitimacy and credibility of the institutions, and it allows for multiple perspectives based on the greater diversity.
So, while progress has been made in recent years, women remain underrepresented in many international courts. But inclusivity is key to maintaining trust and legitimacy in the judicial system.